back with the grand finals of SendouQ season 10 season finale, y'all. We'll be back.
We're not going on a break.
Oh, oopsie, I thought we were. My bad.
No, I made it seem like that. And I'm gonna blame Pipe Dream, who cannot defend themselves on the stream, except he probably can. They said wrap up and then do the ad read. I thought wrap up meant break. But
I also thought that meant break.
Yeah, so never mind that. Putting people on blast here on the stream, but that's good. I didn't even want to go on break. I don't know what you're talking about. Haha, yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna get into our long-awaited grand finals. This is gonna be PxG, like I said, the Chicago Bulls, 1980s of the Splatoon scene versus Flow Dragons. Really, I mean, we've already talked about them so much. If you're just joining us, y'all, this is going to be an absolute just brawl of the Titans in terms of people they have fought their way through. I don't think they've lost literally a single set, either one of these teams.
That is how seeding works at BT, yes.
I know, but sometimes maybe they'll be taking off a game there, but no, they are literally just two teams that are 6-0. Most of them having hardly dropped any games right before this. So,
well, pretty soon after this, one of these teams is going to lose a set. So we'll see which one that's going to be. Obviously, we have just talked about these teams. It wasn't even that long ago. I'd be surprised if a lot of people had just tuned in now. But I suppose if you're the two teams that just lost, this might be the first sets you're watching on stream today. And I hope you have decided to join us. If so, thank you very much. We're glad that you're here. We have PxG versus Flow Dragons. As we've said before, PxG, a region mashup of North America and Europe, playing against Flow Dragons, another region matchup of Noctis from Europe plus Japan. We are going to hop right into it. What a great place to start Inkblot for Zones Game 1.
Absolutely certified hood classic Inkblot zones here. You're going to see, again, pretty much classic comp. You're going to stick with the E-Leader coming out from the side of PxG and a pencil coming out from the side of Momo Dragon there. And again, it's going to be Soldier on the bucket, all classic things you've seen them play a lot. Let's get into it. It's going to be Soldier going to do what he's done best, which is taking that top mid, trying to find a pick there, as two members of Flow Dragons do try to swarm that person. They are taken down on the left side. And again, it's so even, man. Both double eliminations coming out the side. That is going to be the first cap for PxG, as Soldier pretty much just kind of makes that his home up there.
Yeah, you can see that Soldier might have a little bit of hesitancy early on in this game because they've been just chucking so many point sensors at him. They don't want to leave Soldier in a position where they can sneak up on the members of Flow Dragons here. We're finally getting into the side of the zone here, but once again, we have to be very careful. Soldier, like you said, has made top mid his home, so we kind of have to dislodge that position before we can confidently move up. And unfortunately, a few people taking that right angle, getting taken out by these strikes together, and you can just see how comfortable PxG is right now.
Yeah, PxG really just chilling, man. I just look up and we're at 30 ticks remaining, Cyren. Man, Flow Dragon's really got a mount of response here. The vac coming out there, gonna whale right into that vac. Whales go through the vac, no need for any worry about that. Splashdown gonna come out, vac gonna come out, and that is gonna be the cap for Flow Dragons, as they're still gray behind them. They're cooling up, they're saying, I can die here, it doesn't even matter. They're looking for a trade there. They are gonna find not one, but two, Cyren.
Not one, but two it is. It is just going to be Dragon here, forced on the bottom right. Well, Knock Dragon, of course. Is going to sit around and Shark for a little bit here. It does make me a bit nervous because this is the exact same position Flow Dragons was in earlier when they had that team wipe happen to them. And those ink strikes, history does repeat itself. A couple people going down here. Not the ideal situation for Flow Dragons as we move into the last few minutes of this game here, and potentially even shorter than that if they're able to burn through this penalty, which unfortunately it looked like it might happen at this point. Mini does have a special at the ready, but is taken out before they're able to pop it. We are just going to have to use that ink vac. However, that is not going to work out too pretty for them either. It's just going to be that splashdown going out on the zone, and with those mines, it's just going to be a double whammy. We're not going to be able to get back in here. When your worst painter is the last one there, it's like you're poisoned, and the drowning music is going on.
Well, the drowning music is for sure happening for the side of Flow Dragons. They have not given up. They've been able to keep it neutral, but the wipeout there is going to seal the deal. Man, all of that Cyren coming back to Gray's decision. to stay in with Cooler and suddenly flipping their advantage on their head when they're 2 down with the other team in control. I mean, that was just crazy. Really great stuff for Gray to take such a high level calculated risk there in where it all matters. Grand finals of the SendouQ finale, man. What great play from Gray coming out there.
Yeah, a very, very great push from the members of PxG, and unfortunately I just think Flow Dragons didn't recognize their error trying to get back into mid the first time around well enough, and unfortunately did repeat the same mistake going back in the second time around, and you just can't mess that up the second time with the delicacy of this mode and getting back into any kind of good position for yourselves. You need to find a very, very quick way to reapproach, and you just, I don't know, it's just something you can't do. You just can't do it, especially against a team like PxG.
You just cannot flinch in front of them. By the way, that is the second game that Flow Dragons has lost, like the entire just straight up event. Like, that's just to kind of show you how good PxG is playing. Like, they have not, that was their second game. That was the other half of all of their losses so far across, oh my gosh, 5 rounds, 6 rounds. So really good stuff to them. The counter picks gonna come out as nothing. They're counter picking to nothing zones.
I'm gonna hop on the stream real quick. We don't have a graphic for Urchin right now, but it is Urchin Underpass.
Okay.
No one was gonna pick this map. We just, I'm just kidding. So
man, what a rare pick, Cyren. So rare they don't even have the graphic ready.
Well, I guess it is the newest stage added to Splatoon 3, and one that I find a lot of range weapons struggle with. So I think if you're Flow Dragons here, you probably just don't even want to look at an E-liter anymore, don't want to fight it. You just got rid of Asis from the side of Sun Eaters, so it's like, all right, do we really have to do this again? Just let's move to the stage where we don't have to deal with it. My main concern here is just, all right, like, let's just say you win this game. Now what? Now you're in a position where PxG can pick like the best E-liter map in the game. They can just throw you on a whatever they want, and they're still in a better position here. So going into game 2, let's see how both of these teams approach it. Thankfully for me, I'm going into this blind because I did not see any Urchin Underpass while watching this tournament earlier. It could have happened, but I just was not in the know when it did.
Oh, very interesting that we're seeing almost like a turf war comp coming out from the side of PxG with that reflux there. But honestly, I'm always a big proponent of when you are down, bro, you just need to get momentum back on your side. So I'm okay with them burning this counter pick, although they really do need to win on it right now. And again, PxG got the first zone cap. Maybe not the best start to there, but again, very interesting comps coming out from both sides with the Dynamo Reflux versus the Dapples and Blaster, and Dapples and Double Blaster coming out from Flow Dragons. Just kind of saw that last set, but man, really showcasing how easy it is to flip the zone when you do have a Dynamo just kind of flicking at it.
Yeah, super easy, and it's going to be super hard for the members of Flow Dragons to approach the hills of PxG as long as that Dynamo is still up. So they're going to have to rely on maybe a special moving them in there, perhaps the heavy dislodging that Dynamo in some shape or form, something to get them back in here, which looks like it hasn't been too much of a problem so far. That trade is actually going to be very beneficial for the members of Flow Dragons. It's just going to be that 52 gal left standing alive there, and with that being taken out, that is going to be a delayed wipe in favor of the members of Flow Dragons, which now have a couple specials at the ready. They're going to sit here and just wait for a couple members of PxG to run back in a little bit before they decide how to approach this. However, I like this slow but steady movements that Flow Dragons have been making towards PxG.
Yeah, really kind of just wasting time saying, I got the zone in our favor, bro. You got to deal with me. Soldier going to drop down, trying to find someone on the zone. You are able to get a pick, do not get the pick there, but they do get the flip. Soldier kind of just trying to find anyone around him as they're getting collapsed on by members of Flow Dragon. Gonna take out the Blaster matchup. Hate that matchup, but man, gonna get taken out by the other one afterwards. It is just gonna be the Dynamo player alive for PxG. And I kind of showing that maybe this unconventional comp, maybe not the best at getting in against Double Blaster Cyren.
Yeah, perhaps not the best with dealing with it. I mean, on paper, I would say that the comp that PxG has is a little bit better, but I think maybe Flow Dragons was gambling on the fact that they were going to go with something like this, and they could just play more of the aggressive route into it, and you really just have the heavy there to make this paint output and make it more zones viable on its own. But I think they just wanted to say, all right, we're going to throw you off of what you normally play, and we're going to stick in our own comfort zone, which we feel better fighting in, and this will give us a position where we're able to win the fights, and we can cap the zone not off of our painting capabilities, but off our ability to move you off of it and just run in and keep your space to ourselves.
You kind of saw what happens when you are off on kind of a side adventure, and then your teammates get taken out. As again, PxG, you saw the reflex player take that top left, and pretty much just get nothing, and then realize their teammates were dead and then die. And now, I mean, look at this, 10 ticks. I honestly think that was not the super best move when you really need to get a cap there. Strike's going to come out, Booyah going to come out, but I don't, actually is going to be enough. That was able to work the last time, is going to work this time. But man, not the highest penalty from the side of Flow Dragons, and PxG did just lose a member. Maybe not what you want to see if you're a PxG fan right now.
Yeah, probably not. We did have some penalty applied. We're not going to quite look at that knockout just yet. However, Flow Dragons, you can see how well their plan has been working out for them so far, and hopefully I'm not cursing things by saying that, but we see Momo Dragon once again moving up on that right side. A lot of these point sensors have been coming back into play for these members of Flow Dragons. I don't think there's any fight that they've been running into where they feel unsafe, because they have a very good, solid amount of knowledge going into each and every one of these fights. They know the angles, they know how many people they're going to be dealing with, they know if they're above them or below them, and that's really allowed them to take these shots like this one. And you can see S-Blast back on that zone. We don't even really worry about capping it, because we see Soldiers right here, another opportune jump in, but unfortunately missing that first shot. We're going to have to rely on that Booyah Bomb to keep ourselves in there. The 52 is going to be dropping that wall, and that's going to keep them alive for now. Still with 44 seconds left to go, this has to be the push for PxG. They have to get it down to here. They have to basically get a knockout, or they risk getting themselves into a position where Flow Dragons caps it once, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah, man, so much to commentate as you're talking. I literally was going to make a point, and then like something else happened. I was like, gosh, this is just crazy. But I really unfortunate for the member, I think it's Azu right there, not able to find the pick on that jump in. But honestly, doesn't matter. I really thought PxG was set up to kind of hold this correctly. They had the map control, they had members alive, but right now, man, it is tough. They don't have hardly any paint past mid. They do need the zone cap to even initiate overtime. They are going to get it, but 2 members down. I don't think they're going to be holding it for very long.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the exact thing that I prophesized. I saw in my crystal ball there. They needed to make that last push count for them. Otherwise, they were going to get into a spot like this where, all right, Flow Dragons has a lead. They're in overtime. They pop that Booyah Bomb. Zone is theirs. That's the end of the game. Who cares, you know? But once again, I do still have that concern. We've won Urchin Underpass. We won the stage where we don't really need to deal with that crazy E-leader that PxG has. But now we're back into a spot where PxG can choose what happens. And if we go to a scenario where it's back and forth and each team is getting a game and it gets to the last one, well, the pattern is in favor of PxG.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is you brought it up really greatly, but just like it's so hard when losing that first game is so challenging when you are doing a counter pick set specifically, because God forbid we go to game 7, like PxG is gonna have the advantage there. I just have seen that so much. Honestly, really enough with high level melee sets, melee is really stage dependent. And I just, the commentators always harp on, man, it is so important to win games 1 and game 3 in a best of 5, or probably game 4 in a best of 7. It's so challenging because that determines if anyone gets to the determining pick on game number 7 there. And like you said, man, honestly, that was not a really good map for PxG. And if I'm PxG, I'm just gonna say, look, man, I know that map was terrible. Maybe the gray dynamo pick wasn't the best from us. And we're just going to dust ourselves up and say we still now effectively like a best of 5 set right now.
Yeah. Basically, we can just like blink and pretend that it's now a best of 5 set. However, it is going to be starting with that counter pick from the members of PxG, which we are still waiting to find out what that is. And hopefully they will decide and get to what they want pretty soon. I'm at the edge of my seat trying to figure out what they might go to here, and I can't say that I'm shocked that we're going to Undertow, especially after what happened in the last set for PxG. I believe this was one of the games that they took off of Nala Fan Club very dominantly. Well, it was close, but it was still like, it was clear who the winner was going to be.
Yes, it was very clear who the winner was going to be. I'm mostly curious, Cyren, did you expect Double Blaster as a Blaster player yourself to come out from the side of Flow Dragons? I feel like that's a pretty unconventional one, especially using both of the, I'm going to say, top Blaster picks right now in the meta. I'm very surprised, and I wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
If you asked me yesterday, I would have been a little bit shocked, but after seeing that last set with Sun Eater, I don't think I can be surprised anymore. It seems like it's been a very viable strategy for several teams at this point in the bracket to just have a couple weapons that just do a very, very good job at splatting and getting these kills and clearing the board. I don't quite, I guess the thing about it is one blaster, but the second that you have two, it's just a lot of AoE, and there's no area on the stage that is safe anymore, and there's no corner that you can lurk in. It's very good at spotting out folks and getting these picks, and that's why people play together. I think two is better than one in that regard. I think you're spreading yourself too thin without it.
Yeah, like you said, man, it's really like, as we talk about that they switch off the double blaster comps. It's so funny. But I do feel like that is a very valid point. It's almost like we're looking at two of the same person. But yeah, it is going to be Noctis sticking with the Luna blaster there, and everyone else going to opt for a more traditional, probably honestly just more paint heavy comp. You're seeing basically one shooter, one weapon that paints a lot, and of course the pencil, which really paints a lot. Really just trying to get its operation get Noctis into the match, and you're seeing Noctis gonna try to take out that person left. They are gonna get picked off by the backline. Strikes coming out as Dragons kind of biding their time, contemplating what their next move is, trying to hold down this left. There's gonna be two members from the side of PxG hopping on this left side. Dragon gonna pop a booyah here. I keep saying Dragon, I'm right there with you, Cyren. That is not even going to even tickle the zone there, as we are down to Flow Dragon with no specials on their side of the map.
Yeah, Flow Dragons gonna throw a lot at it, but not quite get too much out of it in return, and I think a lot of it can be attributed to the openings of these games. Flow Dragons just having a bit of a weaker opening than PxG did at the start of this game, and that can amount to a lot of points at the start of this. We're finally seeing a cap coming out from the members of Flow Dragons here, is able to burn through that penalty, has that Booyah Bomb at the ready, and is going to push back a couple members of PxG into this corner here. It is just going to be Soldier fighting one-on-one with Azu Dragon. Is somebody going to come here and help Azu Dragon fight? Not really, so we're going to back off of that, which I think is going to be the smarter decision, especially when you're so close to this lead. However, how do we move forward from here?
Yeah, one thing I'm constantly been impressed with the entire SendouQ season finale is how close the games have been. I feel like when you're watching other zones tournaments, it goes back and forth for a while, but then there's like, a really big push to like single digits or something. But it has been pretty much just back and forth, especially during this set, where teams almost get a really big advantage, but then they're just not able to capitalize on it. Like you see Noctis going down there, Whales coming out from the side of PxG, but again, they are down to 30, but they have not pushed past that. They're not in their spawn camping out, waiting for the match to end. Multiple members on Flow Dragon's going to go down here. This should be the zone cap for PxG. Soldier almost going to die to the bomb. Had enough time to get out of there. Strikes coming out, going to try to shred the Booyah Bomb, but Azu able to throw the Booyah Bomb before they get shredded there.
Yeah, a very consistent back and forth between each of these teams. I do like how Ina Dragon has been playing on this right side here. We talked about in the last time we saw this, how they had one specific person just sitting in mid, and that was Rayu during that set, who was just sitting on that mini, painting up both the zones and allowing everybody else to run in here. And I'm going to be bold and say that Noctis may have not been seeing the success that they hoped for so far in this match with that Luna Blaster. I think every time we've panned to Noctis, at least, that exact thing has happened where the Charger has taken out Noctis at a very far distance. And I guess that is the drawback to the Luna Blaster, is you have absolute T-Rex arms, and I don't think Noctis has been able to use that T-Rex mouth that the Luna Blaster has, unfortunately, so far at least. So far, asterisks.
You know, I was thinking about it. I feel like this is not the best blaster map, really, obviously, because it's PxG's counter pick. I feel like it's hard to funnel people into one direction. This is very much a bi-directional map. So it's not always like likely like people are going to be standing in kind of like one area or one like part of the map. But that being said, I mean, Flow Dragons only has 10 ticks here remaining. The strikes that come out not going to be onto the zone. If literally anyone goes down for PxG, I think that's going to be curtains. But man, so far, more strikes coming out. They're going to back up, and that is going to be the zone cap. 54, not the worst, but not the best penalty coming out for the side of PxG. But man, they still have just not been able to find their footing farther forward onto the map here. Soldier taking this bottom left side. Going to have an entire Booyah Bomb thrown at them. Gonna jump out there. Another really great use of cooler jump. Noctis is alone, but Ina Dragon is alone, but they are able to get the pick on the bottom right there, as it is almost complete chaos in mid Cyren.
Complete chaos it is. We do see, I believe that is Trey 52 getting a pick onto Noctis, once again going down there. 40 seconds left to go on the counter for PxG. With 30 seconds left on the timer, we could be seeing a very similar scenario to what we did in Urchin Underpass once again, where we are getting close to the end of the match. If Flow Dragons is able to cap the zone even close to the end of that timer just once, they will probably seal the deal with this game here. But with these jump-ins coming in for the members of PxG, this could very well be a lead swap back to them, and I say it in a blink of an eye. Flow Dragons is able to cap the zone once again. 10 seconds left to go, but two members did go down there. Can they recuperate this unfortunate penalty application?
Honestly, man, if I'm PxG, actually, if I'm the side of Flow Dragons, I'm so mad, because had that hammer found the two people it was looking at, that would have been super curtains, and the game would be over right now. Unfortunately, kind of showing the, I'm going to say, not precisionness of the hammer right there. They were able to get picked off there. As again, now you're seeing multiple specials come out, but no absolute zone flip coming out from the side of this double zone map. Noctis is going to be able to find two, saying, commentators, eat your words, bro. Flow Dragons going to go up 2-1 in the set.
Look, I did say nothing yet with an asterisk, so it was bound to happen that Noctis had something good happen for him in this game, and thankfully for Flow Dragons, it happened at the right time. So shoutouts to Noctis, you really kept me on my toes there. I thought things were not going to pan out for you, and I am very pleasantly surprised right now.
I feel like this is like that post. It's like whenever I give my friends advice, I always say, but that's just like what I think about it in case it like ruins their life. That's exactly what I feel about the asterisks. It's like, you know, hasn't worked out for them yet. Could work out, might work out, just saying. But man, good stuff to them. They were able to find it when it really mattered most. And man, double hammer, I feel like it's so interesting. And one thing that I thought was so cool, Cyren, that I've seen happen in this tournament multiple times, is that hammer players have realized that when they are in a situation where they aren't able to really get a pick by going forward, a lot of times they'll just literally 180, throw the hammer on the ground right next to them, and the hitbox will kill the person that's killing them, and it'll end up being a trade as opposed to a potential trade with actually going for the stamp hitbox, which I think is pretty dang cool innovation that I'm seeing right before my eyes.
Yeah, man. I think it's pretty cool. I feel like over the years, the hurt box, at least for the stamper, has changed quite a bit, and that's forced people to change how they play against it as well. I don't think it's in the best position it's been in, but I think it's a similar thing to how when you play more than one blaster, it makes the blaster effect even better. I think having more than one hammer in any game is actually really good, because what hammer does is it forces you to look at it in a very quick, short period of time, and the moment you have two of them, you are kind of forced to look at both, and sometimes you just can't, and sometimes it'll split your attention and they absolutely get great advantage out of it. I don't want to go as far as to say that they had great advantage during that game. For most of it, it did not look very pretty, but they were at least able to hold things down long enough to secure the win, which is good. What does worry me a little bit is now PxG counterpicking into Eeltail Alley. They know exactly what they're doing by selecting this stage. I see you. It's devious. However, Flow Dragons have already won on a PxG counterpick. So I think it could happen again, OBT. What about you?
Yeah, like again, on paper, I see how this is like super crazy strong for PxG having the E-Leader. But again, just like the last set, you gotta get the E-Leader in. And I also feel like having double blasters, like, there's just so many areas where they can just pop out and just try to immediately laser somebody that's not paying attention or is like looking at another fight. So I think, honestly, I know this is a PxG counterpoint. It does favor PxG probably like 60-40, but definitely not the, I'm not the most unhappy to see that if I'm on the side of Flow Dragons. I feel like, man, we could just pick them off and just try to hold there. And the other thing that they're going up against is this is a really hard map to flip the zone. Like, if you really need a zone flip on top of like everybody being super good in the lobby, like, it is really large. There's a lot of stupid map geometry in the middle of it, so it's going to be really challenging for both teams when they really need a crucial zone flip to get it. So I'm very curious to see how this pans out. I also feel like this is kind of the quirk of the SendouQ format, where they can pick literally any map. And I said it yesterday, man, there will be really important matches on, I'm gonna say, maybe not the most favorable map, looking like an X rotation. Let's get into it.
Yeah, looking like an X rotation, because that's probably the only scenario where I would ever voluntarily play this stage. However, here we are, SendouQ finals, playing Eeltail Alley zones. As long as it's zones, it's okay, right? Well, we're going back to the blaster comp, but with just one blaster on the side of Flow Dragons. And again, I'd like to be proven wrong. I think they have good enough AoE to make this work. Noctis, once again, not starting the game in the best situation for himself, but now we kind of see Gray stuck in a spot where maybe doesn't really want to move up without the awareness, but we have gotten Noctis out of the way, and I think that's a huge roadblock for them.
I mean, Noctis got deleted by Gray, the great deleter on the NZAP. Man, I don't know what that guy's drinking, what that guy's eating to eat, just delete people like that. But it's going to be kind of interesting. I did notice during the team preview part of the map that multiple members on the side of Flow Dragons are wearing, what's it called, LDE. So I feel like, yes, they may not be in the best spot now, but as the match continues to tick down, I do feel like that is going to be a potential clutch factor for the side of Flow Dragons that they might be counting on. And look, double strikes on the zone, didn't even neutralize. Oh my goodness, it's a bloodbath with that one particular strike, leaving just Momo alive to try to fight it out. They are going to hold it knowing that Noctis had jumped into them, and all for naught as Noctis gets taken out anyway.
Yep. Well, we do have PxG still holding it down on the zone. The whales are going to come out, and you can just see Trey following the flow of those whales, is able to get the pick onto Ina Dragon X, and we can see that Solja is forced to jump out here, and it's just a very calculated way of playing. You can see how many times Solja across this set has jumped back just to get in a better position, play with their teammates, and reapproach things, especially when they have the control. It's never an action done out of fear. It's always something done with the intent behind it. So that's something I really respect out of all of these players, and you can still see that Flow Dragons is able to approach pretty well. Ina Dragon not moving back too far, despite the fact that they do not have anything close to a man advantage right now, but they are both very patient teams, just working out a little bit better for PxG, kind of as we expected.
I mean, this is like what the last set really wanted to happen. I mean, their E-Leader player literally has free range over almost their entire side of the map right now. Booyah Bomb is going to force them to move, but again, they do have to get the colossal effort of flipping the zone. They do get the zone flip, but not before PxG was able to take it down to 8. And again, that should be almost pretty dang close to full LDE from the side of Flow Dragons. You're going to start seeing that more active as multiple members of Flow Dragons are going down. Their strategy of just trying to jump to Momo as much as possible seems to be almost working out for them. I say as they almost die to another strike, but I just feel like, again, they just have not been able to really solidify their side of the map and really start moving on to the enemy side. When you have the whales, you have the E-Leaders, so many things you have to avoid at all times on top of the high amount of paint coming out from people like the 52 and Gray.
Yeah, it is one of those comps, as we've said before, that relies on getting in first and then dealing with everything after that. And I feel like PxG doesn't even need to worry about finding a position for that E-leader. That all exists within their spawn. It's a matter of dislodging the E-leader for the members of Flow Dragons. So it's a matter of doing that, and can they even manage to catch that E-leader off guard when they don't really have anything that can crawl into its range very quickly like that? Probably not. This wave breaker is going to do a great job at least at the minimum, pressuring the members of Flow Dragon to move back. And we do see a great fall off pick coming out from Azu here, but now once again we have eyes on Azu. We know which angle that they're coming in from. We see a couple people sitting on that zone here. We don't have very much time on the timer left to go before this becomes a knockout, and thankfully for the members of Flow Dragons, they were able to at least apply a little bit more penalty, but they do have to make this one push count. We have 1 minute left in the game, and I just don't feel like that's enough wiggle room to make a very confident push. You have to be playing a little bit nervous right now.
Absolutely. They are able to find a pick on the E-leader, finally doing what they have done to them for the entire set. As we approach the last 30 seconds, it is going to be, again, the Flow Dragon successfully defending that zone from a PxG push there. Gray going to get deleted himself there. And now, man, if I'm PxG, I'm really starting to sweat, man. We got 20 seconds. They hardly have any penalty. They are able to flip that zone, and we don't have any specials. We're going to start trying to walk in there, trying to get some picks there. Soldier and Gray going to delete one person on the right side. But again, they need to cap the zone, Cyren. I don't know if they're going to be able, even though there's only 2 people alive, will PxG be able to flip the zone here?
PxG will be able to flip the zone, and they don't really have that much penalty to worry about. 30 seconds looks like a lot, but it burns through very quickly. We're already down here into the 20s. They just need to hold on to the zone, and that's going to be the challenge of having an E-leader here. They've relied on having that manpower this whole time, but when it really comes down to it, that pen can paint like nothing else in this game, and we all know that as Splatoon players looking at this one. So once again, a very narrow win for the members of Flow Dragons, and we are looking at match point against what we thought was the team that was going to very dominantly take the entire thing.
You know, I'm sure at one point the Chicago Bulls stopped being good, and maybe this is happening for PxG right now. But man, I really do feel like it was super clutch for the side of Flow Dragons. Not on top, not just excluding how they were playing, but having double LDE at full at the last like 10 seconds, I'm sure helped them paint that. And like you said, man, it is challenging. On the terms of the paint matchup, you had that E-leader versus the pen. I feel like there were many times where, well, I mean, the pen was struggling initially, but once they were set up and they were able just to kind of paint the zone, it really became PxG was relying on kills picks to really try to help them there, and they just did not have the paint support in the end. I really think that was the deciding factor there. But man, so close, and like you said, man, it's crazy. We're on match point for what was looking like, again, a almost flawless PxG tournament to I'm suddenly down 3 games in a row. And how do you feel, you know, when this is like your potentially their championship grand finals on the line, and you have lost on 3 of your counter picks in a row? Sorry, 2 of your counter picks in a row. I mean, that just is challenging. Like, what even maps do you take them to now?
Yeah, I feel like that's like their textbook stage to go to, as well as Eeltail is like, all right, we're in a bad position right now. We better go into Eeltail. Well, now we've expended that resource. So what do we do now? What do we do now? What could possibly be chosen? I think for PxG, if I'm just theorizing, I would probably go into a stage like Umami, just to try and get more out of the for one, they've been really good at moving into the spawns of their opponents, and I think they could probably still accomplish that into Flow Dragons. And I think on top of that, they've been really good at manipulating the movement of their opponents. The thing that they've been struggling with the most has been just getting that turf down at the right time. So they do rely on getting knockouts off of these really strong pushes, right? They rely on people staying off of the zone and keeping them off of it. But with a stage like Eeltail, where it's so close to the center and it's pretty easy to drop into unless you're getting quite literally spawn camped, I don't think they can accomplish that. So Mako is a choice. It is a choice. I think if there's any stage to rely on your laurels and go, all right, how, what are we comfortable in? It's probably Mako for most teams on the planet Earth, at least in the North American region. I feel like we're very biased towards it. What are your thoughts, OBT?
Nah, man, Mako Mart. I mean, I talked about Hood Classic. This is like the World Star absolute Hood Classic map, and I like you said, man. We're down by a lot. What map do all of us know how to play it really well on? Mako Mart. Gotta go for it. On the flip side, the Flow Dragons, I feel like they've been playing really scrappy. They're feeling confident, man. They're able to take those off angles. It's going to be challenging to protect their E-leader and really try to get everyone set up there. But hey, I mean, when you're down, man, this is your Hail Mary. I say, why not go Mako Mart? But man, quite the mountain to climb is PxG, because even if they win this is going to be their last counter pick if they win regardless. Like, they have to survive on 2 of Flow Dragons counter picks to make it even to game 7. So man, a match point here for Flow Dragons. I'm gonna say the underdog in this set gonna be taken out here on Mako Mart.
Yeah, all right. Well, looking at this, both teams switching up things a little bit. Noctis going back to that Luna that I have started to develop a bit of a love-hate relationship with. And Gray actually switching off and going into the S-Blast. We're moving that NZAP position to somebody else on the side of PxG. And honestly, I trust Gray with anything. I would let him perform brain surgery on me. So look, go for it, man.
Yeah, and I feel like Gray maybe just saying, look, man, I feel like I know what to get done. Someone else hold the NZAP. I'm going to go in and try to just absolutely just dog on him, man. But right now, that is going to be the first and now second fight going for the side of Flow Dragons, the team that is up. Momo in a very, very dominant position here on this left stack. Going to try to basically block out that left side. You're seeing, as you kind of hear, Pop Booyah probably going to get shredded right now. And that is going to be a shred. And also the Stamp going to try to use that as kind of like a smoke screen. Not going to work out for them, as this is going to be just Ina Dragon left alive. Not able to jump out. Might go down for that failed block jump there as we're trying to bail him out. And Noctis is not going to be able to get a pick on there. Going to still lose Ina regardless.
Yeah, unfortunate for them. Noctis going down under the sledge. The last thing you want to see in any given game is a blaster underneath your ledge that is going to be difficult to move. I think they do rely on Noctis a little bit to dislodge both Solja and the blaster player from their side here. And thankfully for them, it is at least going to be a trade that is going to give some peace of mind to Ina Dragon a little bit here, though that S-Blast using the absolute maximum range possible to take them out as well. It is getting very worrying for the members of Flow Dragons if you're in this position here. Noctis able to somehow escape from spawn. I don't even know how he did that, but we were able to get the cap while we had that NZAP's attention pulled away from that for a moment. So we've bought ourselves another opportunity to run back in here. Specials are getting popped from both teams, and that Fizzy Bomb has spotted Solja. So now we know exactly where we're sitting, but the challenge becomes, how do we get rid of them?
It's so unfortunate they lost the zone. I mean, the camera was on, I think that's Trey on the NZAP. And Trey, if we're talking basketball, absolutely destroyed that dude's ankles. Feigned that they were going to go forward, backed up, and just lasered them on the zap. Such a good play for them to just lose the zone on top of that. They were able to get the flip. It is just going to be Momo who's forced to jump out here. As, man, most of the map is still in the side of PxG. Finally, some signs of life from our top seed in the tournament here, as they're just trying to defend multiple people from Flow Dragon on the right side. Nice pick coming out from the leader here. Going to help with his defense.
Oh, and another one. I believe that name directly translates to vanilla, actually. So I'm just going to keep referring to E-Leader as vanilla. What a great pick from vanilla onto that zone. We are getting very close to getting some real points on the board for PxG. We are down into the 20s. However, taking out that forge, that is actually going to be massive. Noctis going down there as well. That last Fizzy going to be the last sign of life for them. 10 seconds left to go. They're going to have to run right at that zone. That Mini is the last person you want to see go down there. It's just going to be Forge running back in there, and a quick 10-0 in favor of PxG. It is great for them. They are now back on the board. They have the potential to come back into this, but like you said before this one started, they still have to win 2 of Flow Dragon's counter picks. The set is still anyone's.
Yeah, I mean, just phenomenal, man. If I am PxG, that is definitely what gets the win back in our sails. Saying, look, we may have lost 3 games in a row, but we finally got one on Mako Mart. And I'm going to say pretty dominant game. Say, hey, we're still in this, but now, like you said, man, it's counter pick city from the side of Flow Dragons. And again, pretty much everything is available to them. They can take them to literally the most convoluted map, and they only have to win one more time. So, I mean, just great stuff if you're a PxG fan. I know there's some people that were sweating, bro, with their chat points on the line there. Gonna say, okay, maybe we're not out of this yet. Very curious to see where Flow Dragon takes them, especially from, again, really, really nice stuff from PxG to take that game in the way they did.
Yes, I think I accidentally spoiled myself just now, but now we do have it on the stream as well. It is going to be Humpback Pump Track that we go into here, and I think it's a smart decision. I don't really know how many more stages we have that aren't going to be good for that leader. When I think, you know, looking back on these other sets, we've had things. I keep forgetting the name of this stage, the really big one with the grates over top of the zone, and you have to drop into it. You know the one?
Are you talking about Crab Leg?
Yes.
Yeah, those, yes, but also, man, I mean, you guys couldn't see it, but man, absolutely nightmare map for PxG. I feel like their E-leader's playing so hot, and they've activated their ultimate trap card, man. It's gonna be Humpback, a notorious awful map for one-shot charger players. I feel like the world is their oyster, especially because this map is so interesting on zones because you have to drop into it. Like, it's really hard to shoot and actually cap the zone from your side. And it's not like Rainmaker or Clams where there's multiple paths into your side of the map. Like, once you're in the ring, you are in the ring. And so it's going to be really tough to try to support and keep everyone alive. But absolutely devious pick coming out from Flow Dragons.
Yep.
Yeah, this was my face, just so everybody can. I was hoping that you'd put the camera. I was like, ooh. Not a good map if you're a leader player.
I was just thinking as well, like, we've been talking a lot about like this E-leader matchup, and my apologies to people who don't want to hear me yap about it, but ultimately when you're doing counter picks like this, you have to pick around the things that have been winning you games or losing you games in certain cases. And I think that's the main defining factor between both of these teams, is we have a crazy leader player who takes every angle extremely well. We saw on Mako there, them sitting in the zone and just getting 2 very, very integral picks on the bottom right side of the map. They cut off that entire area of Mako for entry for the members of Flow Dragons. So these things really do matter. We have to consider these things when we go into counter picks like this. Humpback Pump Track, you really only have a couple main angles that you might see a charger player come from. If you're real crazy, you might go to the very far left or far right sides of the stage and try and pick from there, but everything is much, much riskier. So again, it's going to be a blaster's paradise for sure. But then again, we do have players like SendouQ, and a vertical stage like this where the zone is kind of sitting on top of a lump. It's lump back pump track. SendouQ can really just sit on either side of the zone and is going to have height advantage. So yes, you might be removing pressure from that leader and you don't need to sweat and worry about that, but you have a whole other set of issues like SendouQ, which if we go back and we look at the beginning of the set, SendouQ was probably the reason they took that game on Inkblot.
Absolutely, and it's so funny as a bucket player. Like, I totally forgot about SendouQ, but I'm sure, like, I'm sure the VC's like I think it's Noah on the leader. They're like, oh no, and then SendouQ's like, oh yes, baby, I'm okay with this counter pick, and it's gonna be S Blast and Bucket coming out. Really great pick, and wow, Noctis on the gold Dynamo, saying absolutely too close, too much of a good thing to pick up. But wow, if you look at the side of Flow Dragons, that is gonna be triple long range between the Dynamo, the Pen, and the Heavy Edit, saying we're just gonna throw out as much paint as possible and hope it works, man. But right now, gonna lose 2 players and probably gonna lose that first fight there in zone is gonna be Flow Dragons.
Yeah, a very interesting comp. I wasn't really expecting to see something so I guess the best word for it would be clunky. A lot of pressure going to be sitting on the S-Blast on the side of Flow Dragons to really make things happen in the front lines. However, Noctis doing a really good job of at least funneling in the members of PxG to come in from certain angles that might be more advantageous for the other members to fight against. However, again, this is going to be a huge concern when you're dealing with a player like Soldier, or you're dealing with this E-leader, which might stop you in your tracks before you're even able to get in, especially when you're playing something so slow like a Dynamo. Like, how do you avoid shots when they come out literally frame perfect?
You know, and also I think it's kind of a bold choice for, I mean, I'm sure Noctis is good at playing stuff, but particularly playing a Dynamo that you're probably not super comfortable into a like almost dedicated leader player as a former Dynamo main would not excite me, I gotta tell you. And especially not even picking the cooler one, going for the chump one, which does have its merit in zones. But I mean, look at that, those chumps are just deleted. Nothing happened there. And now, remember, going down to an unfortunate round there, they do get the cap, showing what Dynamo does best there. But man, I feel like this is kind of just an awkward, like you said, kind of clunky comp there. With maybe not everyone on their most experienced or most comfortable pick there, versus PxG, who is for sure playing what they know best.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this counter pick if this is the weapons they were going to choose for this. You can see because the other members of PxG have just opened the doors wide open for this E-leader player. Even they've been able to play very aggressively. They are not limited by those typical E-leader positions that we are used to seeing on Humpback Pump Track. We're seeing them all over the map, literally quite... Oh, I don't even know what thought I was gonna have, because what just happened? I saw a bunch of chumps land down on the ground, and suddenly everyone from PxG is gone. Obviously, this is the opportune moment for the members of Flow Dragons here. You know this as a Dynamo player, that once you get underneath that ledge directly, it might be a checkmate situation if they're not able to clear you fast enough. As your Dragon does have that Booyah Bomb, does not pop it in return towards the other one, but as these strikes come out from Soldier, we're actually able to get the... What? How did we get the pick on him?
Man, this has just been just a crazy last 30 seconds from them just getting deleted to now Flow Dragons within striking distance of the lead. That is going to be the second to last member there. But hey, I think one more push should do it. About equal penalty on both sides. I can't believe what is happening in this match. This is just, after all the stuff that we've seen so far, all the battles these teams have had to play, that it potentially could go out like this if Flow Dragon gets another successful push in like that. And you're seeing, man, I was going to comment earlier that Flow Dragon, I feel like, has been kind of off the mark pairing up with that Booyah Bomb with the chumps. They've just kind of been able to do it. But man, as I've been talking, they've eaten through that penalty. It's going to be PxG. Soldier on this left side of the map where I've seen him play so much with strikes at the ready, trying not to go down. That is going to be the Booyah Bomb. The strike's going to come out in response. They do get the cap, but they have inched ever closer towards zero, Cyren, as the side of PxG.
Yeah, they were able to apply some penalty here, and unfortunately for them, the chumps were not the chumps of doom that we saw before. Noctis playing very, very up in their faces still, but I did think it was very funny earlier when Gray popped that booyah, literally just threw it at Noctis's forehead, and literally just jumped right out of that, treating it like a reef slider. But Noctis, wait, is able to get two picks underneath that ledge. Momo Dragon getting the pick onto the leader. That is actually huge. Are they going to be able to cap the zone? There's a couple painters coming out. Unfortunately, it's just going to be Noctis and the heavy on the side of it. That Booyah Bomb is going to be coming out. They need to cap it right now, and that's going to be the game for PxG. A very quick knockout for them, and now we are finally looking at that Game 7. PxG is still in this. Can Flow Dragons still clutch it out and dethrone PxG from their SendouQ Season 10 victory that was so predicted by so many people?
I feel like if you were looking at the live update stats for who was going to win that game in the last 10 seconds, it would have just gone back and forth like crazy. That was so ridiculous. I really thought after that the E-leader player was unable to pick the pen player off, that it was going to be curtains for that game. They're going to be able to hold there. But man, Soldier and the Zap player able to get it done there, find the pick on the two people that were closest to zone, and then the two backlines after that just were not able to outcap, especially against the Booyah Bomb. Really great stuff to PxG. And honestly, if I'm Flow Dragons, I'm gonna say, dude, we threw that game, man. It almost worked out for them, but I felt like for most of the game they were on the back foot because that comp was so long range, slow, and clunky. Honestly, if they go on to lose this next game, I would feel bad about that particular map. I mean, you had the golden opportunity to do whatever you wanted for that counter pick, and you decided to go Dynamo and Heavy and Pen. So hopefully that doesn't, but hey, y'all, the good thing is, y'all, we are going to game number 7. Can't ask for a better set in grand finals for the SendouQ season 10 finale. Woo! Cyren.
Woo, it is. Flow Dragons, once again, they have an opportunity to counterpick here. They still haven't chosen the stage that they're going to be going into that will perhaps decide their fate for this game 7. As you said before, I really would have thought that they would have been able to close this out on Humpback Pump Track. So now they're probably scrambling, thinking that they weren't going to be in this spot at the end of it. But yet here we are. We're still in the building. And we still need to take another game off of PxG before we can finally rest and say, hey, we finally dethroned them. Yeah, what do you even do? I mean, I'm sure nerves are high for both of these teams, even if they feel like they might not be. These are very, very well seasoned players, but there is that part of your chest that goes, I am so close to taking this, and nothing feels worse than getting second place when you were so close to first.
Absolutely. And man, especially Flow Dragons, we had the world there. We had 2 separate times we could have closed out the set. And now to think, man, the win and the momentum is firmly back on the side of PxG after both of those very, very dominant wins there. You got to be feeling the pressure, like you said. It's game 7, especially I feel like it's even worse coming from the side of we almost won. Like, go back 2 games ago and we were talking about how hard it was going to be PxG to even force a game 7. And now you're on game 7, having given up arguably one of your strongest counter picks. I mean, what do you even do there? Hopefully, like you said, Cyren, they're seasoned enough. They're able to find their calm, the momentum, and they ground themselves there. But man, this is quite the pressure going into game 7 after the entire work of trying to grind out SendouQ with your buddies. We are going to go to Brine Water Springs for game number 7. Again, I hope this works out for them. My thought would be immediately going to, man, the E-Leader can literally shoot us from across the map, and there's really good ledges for the bucket player. But hey, clearly Flow Dragons got something cooking.
I was just gonna say that is incredibly bold of a counter pick to go into brine water of all things. It is a very, very good comp for back lines, especially super long range ones like leaders. Other ones like ball points, I would say, even have a very good use case here, just because you can pop inkjets. Obviously I wouldn't use that into an E-Leader player, but I find that inkjet has a much better situation post patch, even if they didn't even touch the special at all, because of those health bars. You can just better communicate where people are at, how weak they are, when you wouldn't really have a better indicator before of how strong that shot was that got towards that person. Going a little bit off topic there to talk about inkjet just because I love it so much. However, they have to be cooking something, right?
I hope they're cooking something better than the last thing. Oh man, that's one where they were cooking so hard they burnt down the kitchen, bro. I hope whatever they got scheming up there. Honestly, if I was Flow, I'd go back to the double blaster thing. Like, I feel like that was working out really well for them, and especially on this map where people really want to stand on ledges. But hey, to quote Tomater from Cars, I'm happier than a tornado in a trailer park. Let's go to game 7, Cyren.
The fact that you have Tomater quotes on the back burner is just like crazy to me. Anyway, all right, well, very standard comps coming out from both teams. I don't think there's any surprises here. And like you said before, running that LDE comp on the side of Flow Dragons. So maybe that will come out here. After all, this game is their last-ditch effort in more ways than one. So, hey, very good start for PxG, but that hasn't really been promising in previous games and not really an indicator of how things will continue on. Getting out Soldier is going to be huge for them as that bubble comes out towards that zone. A lot more momentum, and we are spotting out people as they drop on this bottom right side here. So look, Flow Dragons seems very confident, very comfortable right now. Can they continue that for the next 80 ticks? Maybe not. We'll see.
Honestly, looking at the comp, Cyren, I just want to highlight that Flow Dragons has decided to run a comp with a lot of objects to shred. I believe that is double bubble and Booyah Bomb versus a comp of an E-liter, a blaster, and a bucket. Not going to be able to shred those things very effectively. This might be a pretty dang strong pick here. It's again like, look, they pop bubble there. What is that E-liter going to do? They're going to have to burn strikes for it, not use it at the zone, just to move the bubble there. And because of that, they weren't able to get the flip when it's kind of needed there. So again, kind of an interesting comp. I do think this is a much better idea than the last one we saw. And nice pick coming out from Gray. Just gonna jump back, get the cooler. Really good cooler usage from the side of PxG in this first part of the game.
Yeah, I don't know. The cooler is good. Is it going to be able to move them in? Is it going to be able to shred all these objects? I really like how you pointed that out, because it's given them this safety net for how they've played so far. They force a lot of people to give one person a lot of attention at any given time, and it puts them in a spot where they have to make a lot of very quick decisions. Are we going to allow this Booyah Bomb to go through? Are we going to shred it? Are we going to take care of that? Because the second that we apply more people to this one Booyah Bomb, that gives them an opportunity to come in from a different angle here. Two people going down onto the side of PxG, that is going to force them to have to run back a little bit, and maybe these jump-ins were not the decision they were looking for as people run towards. Soldier going to be making out of that with his life just narrowly as we spot Soldier running into the bottom right side of the stage. Is a little bit weak. That Booyah Bomb's going to be coming out and they're forced to jump back out, but look at this OBT. This stage is extremely purple. Flow Dragons is made everything their color, and I think this is where the pencil starts to really shine in their comp. When they get into a spot where they're forcing the E-liter to move back, they can cover so much turf and give this blaster player and this forge player so much room to play with.
Yeah, and I feel like, man, those jumps were just, that was not it, bro. I'll jump into the leader who's getting jumped themselves, man. A really bad start, and that's why I think they were able to put so much color of the purple down on their side of the map, was just because they had to give up so much ground and so much time for this. And this is going to be the real challenge for PxG right now, is there's so many stalling tactics. Like you said, they have to look at you. This Booyah Bomb's going to throw them out and just force them back a little bit. But again, they're going to have bubble online soon, and it's going to be hard for them to try to shred on this. And again, it is multiple people up on the side of PxG, but the clock is ticking, Cyren. They need to get to the zone and fast.
Yeah, it's getting worrying here. This E-liter does have to make a choice. I'm going to help paint the zone. We do get the penalty applied once again, but that's the least I can say. This has happened a few times so far this game, but it hasn't really amounted to anything more than just applying penalty and maybe just delaying the inevitable. We do have Soldier climb inside that bubble, and not for very long as they get taken out once again. And when one bubble goes down, we do see that the blaster has another one at the ready. It is just a very consistent flow of these booyahs and bubbles, and it's just allowed them to get so much control of the ground here. I thought this ramp is where PxG was going to be thriving, but you can see that Flow Dragons has just colonized the space, taken it for themselves, and that has really forced PxG to just pop every single one of their specials towards the zone just to get another chance at moving in. But once we do that, we run out of the motivation, we run out of the space to do anything more. We really just need to get these picks to follow up with, and we do get a couple of them, but has the damage been done? It's 40 seconds left to go. PxG does not have that lead. They need to make this last push count.
They don't have the lead, but they also don't have any penalty to choose through, and now you're on the back foot. Flow Dragons kind of showing that when you do have two bubbles, it makes it a little challenging, but they also still have that Booyah Bomb, which they're able to send on the back side of the zone, which is going to cap that. But again, no real forward progress made. You still have the leader player fighting for their life, but still on their side of the map. It is going to be Trey that's going to try to bail them out. They do find that pick going out wide for it. 6 seconds left. It's going to go into overtime. They have to hold through two bubbles and a Booyah Bomb, but that's going to be two down for the side of Flow Dragons. I don't know if they're going to be able to recover fast enough, Cyren.
Momo Dragon not in a really good position right now. That Booyah Bomb is going to be coming out. That's going to force the attention from PxG to go back towards that zone there. 4 seconds left to go. Are we going to be able to cap it? 12 seconds left. That's just going to be PxG on the zone. Just barely able to clench that out and proving why they've been the SendouQ season finale winners time and time again, and proving why they had that #1 seed going into this tournament.
You know, if I'm on PxG, I'm like, okay, we were really struggling at the beginning part, but we still locked it in, y'all. Congrats to PxG. They are your SendouQ Season 10 season finale. Oh, sorry, season finale champions on that one. But man, absolutely just crazy back and forth set there. Both teams did phenomenal. But again, Flow Dragons just did not have the gas in them to take it at the very end when it really mattered. And again, looking back, I feel like they could have done better on the Mako Mart and the Humpback game specifically. Hopefully they're not kicking themselves too bad. It's still really awesome to get second, but like you said, second is the worst when you are one game away from first.
Yeah, and for it to happen in the exact way it did, when you had match point in your favor, like 3 games in a row, you could have won any single one of them. And that one was so close. They were on the right track, but I think just risking it all on that specific strategy on Humpback, where you're playing super clunky into this super quick comp with an E leader that can just take you out in a moment's notice. It's risky, and I think they originally had that wiggle room for it, but unfortunately for them, it seems like PxG kind of got their act together when it really mattered.
Yeah, showing the fortified mental of those players, and also showing why this is game 7. I feel like, again, had it been a game 5, they would have won. Like, Flow Dragons would have won. But having to go that extra distance and get that 4th game proved to be the unreachable task for Flow Dragons there. They just weren't able to. And again, it's so hard when you have, like, yes, you do have those games to play with, but ultimately I think that cost them the momentum there. And also going for that kind of strategy with the double bubble thing, while good on offense, is just so hard on defense, especially when your best painting thing, the Booyah Bomb, gets taken out at the end like it did there. And then you saw them just get really desperate. And again, like, that had to have been the mental weighing on them for that. So, but man, what a absolutely just banger set to end off on Cyren. I'm so glad they had us both out to commentate this. I'm so glad I got to share this with you, my amazing teammate and friend Cyren.
Hey, my friend and teammate OBT, thank you so much for joining me in this. And once again, I know they didn't ask me to do it this time, but I will bring up the LCS League Championship one more time. It's going to be a great event. I think you guys should definitely tune into it and look into your locals. If you were in any of these areas, which I'm just going to quickly name off here, do some research, go to your locals. So Toronto, Ontario, that already happened. Irvine, California. San Jose, California. Gainesville, Florida. Chicago, Illinois. Ashburn, Virginia. Houston, Texas. Cary, North Carolina. New York, New York. Tempe, Arizona. Waltham, Massachusetts. And Seattle, Washington. If you were in any of those areas, I would strongly suggest going to your locals. Even if you missed the qualifier event, they all run very amazing events. You should definitely pull up.
Absolutely. And I heard that there's a new one, I think, happening in Minneapolis. That's pretty fun. So if you live in that area, definitely go give them a check out. But yes, Cyren, where can the amazing people of the internet find you?
They can find me at Cyren Banshee, CYRENBANSHI on Blue Sky. You can still follow me on Twitter if you're from the community, but it's definitely a difference. Just go to Blue Sky. Just make an account if you don't have one already. It's totally worth it. It's fun. Let's just move the community over there. It's worth it. I promise.
And you can find me at Obese Tyrese on just about everything, Twitch, Twitter, Blue Sky. But yeah, please go to Blue Sky. That's the best thing. And you can catch both of us. We're playing our Ludi match in, like, I don't even know how many hours, but we're playing later today. So come out. You can cheer us on. I don't even know our team name's name off the top of my head, but we'll be there. But again, thank you so much. Also, shout out for Pipe Dream, the person, and also the camera person that's been operating, helping us out. Really appreciate all the amazing staff that helped bring out this thing together. But I think that's going to be just about it. Do you have any closing thoughts, Cyren?
Nope.
All right, sweet. Well, hey, this has been the Season 10 at SendouQ season finale. Thank you all for being here, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Yeehaw.